For our project, we looked at the movement of a long jump. This type of jump is used a lot with young children to look at the functional strength of the muscles as well as their power and endurance. The starting position of the jump, the subject is looking forward and has moved from standing into the starting position where the knees are flexed as well as the hip. For this to occur, the hip is in flexion with an eccentric contraction of the hamstrings. The knee is also in flexion with eccentric contraction of the quadriceps. The ankle is in dorsiflexion with eccentric contraction of the gastrocnemius and soleus. For phase 2, this is the takeoff phase. The hip is now in hyperextension with concentric contraction of the gluteus maximus and the hamstrings. The knee is also in extension with concentric contraction of the quadriceps. The ankle is now in plantar flexion with concentric contraction of the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Phase 3 is the in-air phase. In this phase, the hips move from hyperextension to flexion with concentric contraction of the hip flexors, which include the iliopsoas, the rectus femoris, sartorius, and the TFL. The knee joint is flexed with a concentric contraction occurring at the hamstrings. The ankle joint has now moved from plantar flexion to dorsiflexion with a concentric contraction of the tibialis anterior and toe extensors, extensor hallucis longus and extensor digitorum longus. Phase 4 is the landing phase. The hip is in flexion with eccentric contraction of the hamstrings and gluteus maximus. The knee is also in flexion with eccentric contraction of the quadriceps. The ankle is in dorsiflexion with eccentric contraction of the gastrocnemius and soleus. Phase 5 is the ending phase. The hip is in extension with concentric contraction of the hamstrings and gluteus maximus. The knee is in extension with concentric contraction of the quadriceps. The ankle is in dorsiflexion with concentric contraction of the gastrocnemius and soleus.